All right, so as we make our way back, the national championship for college football's tonight, meeting number 3 in the national championship game. And as Bubba said, somebody, because both teams come in undefeated, will be the first college football team in Division I to finish a season with a perfect 15-0 record. One of them will tonight.
That's right.
And so, you look at the game, they seem pretty evenly matched. You see Clemson appeared to have a little more trouble in the regular season than Alabama did, as far as dominating the opponents that they faced. But overall, they're similar in the way they're set up. It is interesting to me. Bub and I we were talking about it in the office this morning before we started. It was interesting to me that you had Alabama, who got in the national championship game last year. They remove a starter that had gotten them to a championship game but did not win for a freshman who then wins the national championship game and then comes back as the starter the next season. Clemson starts the season with a quarterback who took them to a national championship game that they lost and then replaced him with a freshman who's carried them back to the national championship game. Isn't that odd? That those two teams that's a similar story with each team. And by the way, I've noticed that Coach Sweeney is tired of the Bryant question. He's now just saying he was replaced because the guy we're playing now is better than him.
Yeah, and it looks like I was correct.
Yeah, right. So that's
Now there was serious doubts that very first game after he got hurt, like in the second quarter.
Yeah.
It was
that's when you wish you were in an Alabama situation when they have a problem with their quarterback. They just go to the one that got them there before. He's still there. So
there's really 3 teams I can say that have very good backups. That's Alabama, Clemson, and now the Philadelphia Eagles, of course.
Yeah. By the way, that thing with the Eagles is just odd.
Yeah,
I mean,
Wentz has never seen a playoff, has he?
No, it's like the Eagles get through the about time for us to go back to Foles here. All right, so tonight
he's like their the designated playoff quarterback.
Yeah,
Wentz, you play the season, then we're going to get him in the playoff.
So you look quarterbacks, you go both of them very accurate passers.
Yeah.
Okay. You look at the running game; both have very good running backs. I don't know much about the 2 offensive lines. Which one would be better? I don't know much about that. I know that Alabama's offensive line has been good at times. Clemson's has been good at times. But we know that both of them have defensive fronts that are very good. But I think, and Greg, you were talking about this, and I agree, if you really look, the difficulty is where both their defenses are weak, their good up front 7 kind of help them with that because they provide so much pressure. Yeah. But their defensive secondaries, both teams at times have been lit up pretty good if you can throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
But you got to throw the ball down the field means you got to have time. Mm-hmm. But, boy, South Carolina threw on
that.
Clemson.
I don't know if that's just one of them fluke things.
Could have been. Right.
Because they did. They threw for a lot of yards on it.
Yeah, and you know that Alabama offensively can throw the ball down the field and has probably the best group of receivers in the entire country. Yeah. Their receivers are unbelievable, and they got a quarterback that's very accurate.
Yeah,
sling it.
I mean, he can throw it in a bucket. But Clemson also has a quarterback that's very accurate. That's right, and is heady and has some good receivers. But again, to be able to throw the ball down the field, you've got to be able to protect the quarterback. But if Clemson can throw the ball down the field on Alabama, I think they can be successful. But if Alabama can throw the ball down the field, it appears they can be successful against Clemson if the regular season is any indicator of the game. I don't know whether it is.
A lot of times you get to these championship games, and teams tend to play a lot of times a little more conservative initially. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that takes, then they kind of heat up toward the end of the game. But I'm kind of expecting a high-scoring game myself.
Well, the way it looks – And you're right, you would think that. But the way it looks, if you watch Alabama throughout the season and even in the playoff game, if you can just not let them come out of the tunnel and go nuts. Because they seem to really fall off as the game goes along. I actually thought Alabama played very sloppy against Oklahoma late in that game. Now, they were fantastic early.
Yeah.
But if you can stop – and they've been like that on everybody. They come out and score 21 points so fast you don't know what to do. If you can hold that to maybe 3-7 – and survive that early onslaught and let everything settle down, I think you can beat them.
Maybe the tiebreaker should be today. Will Nick Saban's headset make it?
Right.
Yeah. Make it through the semi.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other comments, and then we can kind of.
It ought to be a good game. Ought to be a good game.
Will, and it should.
It starts at 7 Central Time.
That helps.
Which, I was afraid being on the East Coast, the West Coast, that it might be, even a later start. Which out there, think about that, they're kicking off at 5 o'clock.
Right. I wish we would stop sending these championship games to places that don't care about college football.
So good. It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, usually don't they try to – it's like the Super Bowl. They always try to go to a new stadium or something.
Yeah.
And this is a new one.
But, nobody there cares about college football. They can't even sell any tickets locally.
Well, I know.
And so anyway, so the game
if you went down and played at the Rose Bowl, you'd have more fans, right? Because of Southern Cal, UCLA, all that bunch.
You would think. So let's go with the Sport Czar Trophy. We want to score. The person who you first of all have to get the team correct that wins. That's step one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Then you can have the score being the closest to the actual score, and then the tiebreaker. If we have people that have the same amount of distance or scores that were very similar, the tiebreaker is passing yards for Tagovailoa.
Just passing or all purpose?
No, just passing.
How do we?
Oh, okay.
And I know we have this discussion every time, just so we can be clear. How are we calculating the score differential? We're actually taking a number from each side to how much you were off, and saying you were off, say 20 points.
Yeah, like say if the score is 30-20, I'm not looking for everybody who said there'll be a 10-point difference, because you might have, it's got to be closest to the actual score.
So if you said 25-35, you were off 10 points.
Correct. Right. That's the way I see it.
That's the way I
like it better.
I like that.
Don't y'all like that?
Y'all just tell me who wins at the end.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start with Adler's pick. Adler, we need your score. Who wins the score, and then how many passing yards for Tagovailoa?
All right, I'm going to go Clemson 11, Bama 12. 1-point game.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
How many passing yards?
It's going to be a 1-point game, and it's going to be a good game, guys.
How many passing yards?
11 to 12.
Let's go 100.
100 passing yards.
Attaboy.
That's how long the field is.
See, now that I like.
Helms, what do you think?
Now, historically, he may have that on the first play.
Right.
Yeah.
This is going to come down. This is completely off the. I don't care really. This is going to come down to something none of us have discussed, and that's going to be the foot of a freshman kicker at Alabama, 45-42. Daniel Moore get to paint a kicker for once. It'll be 45-42.
It'll be for once. You're right.
And Tua will have 275 passing yards.
Look,
That's a good pick.
Look at that.
So Bama's going to win.
All right.
Bama wins, with a.
That's exactly what I had down.
Isn't that hilarious?
sorry.
Okay. Well,
So,
that's the wonderful.
go
That's
first.
you got to go first. Greg,
I have no feel.
none.
I didn't either.
Bama wins 34-28.
34-28. Tua.
360.
Oh, he's throwing it around, slinging it.
Wow.
But that could be Speedy.
Lee, that's close. Bama 31-35, Tua 235.
So 35-31, Bama. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Didn't
Bubba.
they have that score one time before? Let's see. I'm going to say Alabama will win. It'll be a very close game, very exciting. It may even have an overtime in it. So I think it's going to be very high scoring, just because both defensive backfields are probably the weakest link. Both teams have good quarterbacks, good receivers. I'm going to say 52-47.
Good
Alabama.
night. Good night.
And Tua 325.
Okay.
I like you picking overtime. That was a new twist.
That was. And I think I'm going with Clemson.
Okay.
I think Clemson will win. I think Clemson is going to shock the world tonight, and I think they are going to win it. They're going to win it 38-35.
Wow.
38-35
I like that
Clemson. And I believe Tua will throw for 240 yards.
All right.
There it is.
All right.
So we'll come back. We'll get all those down. And all I'm doing, by the way, Bama fans, is I'm the only one picking Clemson. If Clemson wins, I win automatically.
That's a wise pick when you get to go last.
I've done that.
When you get to go last, you might as well be the only one that. So if Clemson wins, no matter the score, I get the trophy. So we'll be back.
Rick and Bubba.